This video will demonstrate how to go about refining a search while browsing through the card catalog of the TCC website. While we did show how to go about refining a search in earlier videos, we thought it might benefit some of you for us to focus on this aspect of the research process. Refining a search can seem difficult at first, but it becomes an automatic reflex the more you search and research as a student. So we have the card catalog section right over here on the left side of the front page at library.tccd.edu. So for the purposes of this search, let's say that we're doing an English paper on Edgar Allan Poe. And we can start typing his name in, and the autofill will eventually kick in. It doesn't seem to be doing it right now, so we'll just go ahead and type in Edgar Allan Poe. Hit the search button. Now, since we haven't put in any type of booleans or limits or used any of the filters, this gives us a rather sizable number, 38,929. But even without using the filters or booleans or any type of symbols to narrow it down, we can still narrow the search down with a couple of simple things. We can limit our search to items that are currently in the library, and we can also limit it by campus. While we can't easily transfer items from one campus to another, let's just say that we're at the Trinity River campus and we want to get something in our hands to start working on our paper today. So we hit the magnifying glass icon. Now that narrows our search down to 65 items. We could probably get through those in an afternoon, but the thing is, Edgar Allan Poe was a very impressive writer who wrote poetry, prose, horror, detective stories, science fiction. So we probably can't do a big paper about everything that he did. So we need to narrow our search down a little bit. So thinking on everything that he's done, we decide, I'm going to do an English paper focused on his poetry. So we can go ahead and type in plus poetry and continue our search with that. And this will narrow it down to 15 results, with the very first thing coming up being the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe. And you can keep scrolling through there to see An Evening with Edgar Allan Poe, Reader, the complete poems, the essential Edgar Allan Poe, the audio collection if we want to hear them being read, comprehensive research guide, an anthology of poems including Edgar Allan Poe, a collection of The Raven. So lots of good resources that would probably give us everything we need for a good basic paper. Now supposing instead that we wanted to do something focused on Edgar Allan Poe as a science fiction writer. Well, again, we would narrow the search by doing Edgar Allan Poe plus science fiction, and we'll go ahead and search all the available collections for this one. Now that narrows it down to 7,783 results, with the very first object being the complete science fiction of Edgar Allan Poe, an illustrated collector's edition. Something for the graphic novel fans there. But then we get some other interesting items, creating a medium for exploring the implications of science, Edgar Allan Poe and the first science fiction, complete short story guides, science fiction, lunatic fiction, H.G. Wells meets Edgar Allan Poe. Well, that one will not be very helpful, it looks like, as that's describing somebody else's work. History of science fiction, that could be incredibly useful. But as you can see, there's no real one way to go about doing this, but the basic idea remains at the core of all research, that we start with one topic and start to add little things to refine the search.